Welcome back to the English broadcast of the LPL. We're here for our final game of the night between BLG and Vici Gaming here in the Summer Split. Now, we are 1-1, of course, because that's why we're in the third and final game. And Vici definitely could go over to them. I know both of you told me that BLG was going to take it. Now, I'm going to give you one last chance to change your vote. You know why? Because we have two substitutions coming in. That's going to be one in the jungle with Minghua and one in the mid lane with Athena. So this very much changes the DNA of BLG. So let's have the discussion first, and I'll ask the question afterwards if you're going to change. Clement, what do you think about this?
All right, now this is a really tough one because we haven't seen Minghua and Athena for quite a while. We just haven't seen them play for quite a while. I'm going to stick with my BLG because I think that, I think they have a much stronger bot lane just by default. If they learn to play through that, they still have quite a sizable lead in the early games we've seen.
Okay. It's an interesting shift, and remember, the only time you'll ever have like info on this is based off of Demacia Cup, where Minghua, coming in from the LDL from Mas 7 Club. Not a lot of people will remember the name, unless if you also have tracked Yagao as well, coming in from the same team. So he's a jungler that's interesting because he has some early game tactics you can watch for. The surprising one for me is that there was a reason in the Demacia Cup when they moved away from that pairing, Minghua and Athena, because it was fairly raw. It wasn't working for them. Mole and Chieftain were just far better, and they've showcased that, at least in the playoffs. So that's, for me, it is a step back, 100%. Does that change anything in this matchup? Hell yes. I'm a flip-flopper. Vici's taking game 3.
Here
Boom.
we go.
That's
There we
it.
go. That's
You're already
Raz
moving
right
on
here.
to the next page, too. That's interesting. That's
No, this
cool.
is you. This is a flip-flop.
Okay, all right.
That's all good. I mean, there's already a precedent set that Raz will flip-flop, so it's totally fine.
Yeah, you gave me the opportunity.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man?
No, it's all good.
You gotta just hold my foot accountable.
I want to dig deep on that, because you're saying it's a step back, but why specifically? Because we saw Chieftain today, and obviously it was like 50-50 on what performance we're going to get out of Chieftain. Are you saying that further down the line, we should be seeing this consistent roster from BLG, or that right now in the now, that we should be seeing Chieftain?
We should just be seeing Chieftain and Mole throughout. One of the major weaknesses of BLG have been in their early game. Top side, Amazing Jay, well, he's an amazing player. Yes, that too. His laning phase stats are not that good, actually. And it's mostly in the fact that he gives up a lot just so he can go towards team fights. But same goes to bottom lane. Jin Zhao is not an excellent bottom laner. Or at least his laning phase statistics have been really poor. He has strong CS stats. That's fine. But that's only so he can get to the team fights and it works out well for them. But if they can't get to that because their mid lane and jungle are failing, then it's not looking good for BLG.
Now, Raz, you couldn't see it, but I can read Clement like a book. He was giving me
What are you going to say, Clement?
You were talking about
what
the top lane and the bot lane. The big question is Athena himself. Like, he was a star player for BLG for quite a while, but in the last split, he just had problem getting out the gate. He's called the sleepy mid laner for a reason. Even his top laner says, like, this guy doesn't wake up until 25 minutes, and this is not the meta to do so. So far, we've only seen him being good on one early aggressive champion, and that's Zoe. So unless he's hiding something, and if he goes back to his old traits, then that's kind of bad news. They don't really have the aggressive punch to step up to Vici.
And for me, it's always been a 2v2 deal. It's always been a question of if Athena can gel with a jungler. They brought in quite a few junglers for BLG. They've been SKS, and this time around you're bringing in Minghua for the matchup to work. It's obviously day one, and if you're going to test something, it's going to be today. But in a game 3 versus Vici, which should be a freebie for themselves, it's a gamble.
And that's the key point, right? It's like, do you really want to gamble in a game 3 when it should be, as you said, a freebie? Because maybe this comes back to bite them all the way down the line. We get back out of cross-conference in 4 weeks from now, and then 9 weeks in, we're just like, okay, excellent. And maybe they happen to randomly get upset by Vici again. At that point, that's not something that you even want to be a possibility. You know, you want to get this one out of the way, have a nice win, have a nice buffer, and then move on.
This is a game, if you lose, you're not getting back from, because other teams will trounce Vici down. And I think BLG, they have to think this through, and this is the reason I feel like Athena might be showing us something new right here.
What do you think that would look like, though? Because we've already set the stage. Athena, the sleepy mid laner, likes to scale up. Zoe, as you said, is the one aggressive champion we've seen him on. Likely that we'll see that being banned from Vici. So, and at the same time, picks like Talia, that I remember him used to be on, is now a jungler. So what are we going to be seeing, Raz?
Athena used to be, and still is, an amazing Vladimir player. And currently in the meta, Predator Vladimir is quite good. The only issue is always a question in the early game, just because he does get pushed in and bullied quite well. But, I mean, I want to see it happen. The team fights that we saw in the last game weren't working their way, and Vladimir's flanking ability is really strong here. So I want to see Athena back on that pick if that's what they want to play with.
Do you know what Mianhua means, Clement? Because I know Mian is noodle, right?
Yes,
wait
a second.
Minhua actually means cotton, so he's
See, that's close.
probably a
Not
pretty
at all.
colorful guy to snuggle up to. That'd
Wait,
be
it
my
means
guess.
court?
Huh?
As in mean like court as in court out?
No, like cotton, like pick
Oh,
pick
oh,
cotton.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be comfortable. I mean, you can see that Mole is going to be swapped out for Athena as well in the mid lane. And it's just, he's basically the SMLZ of mid laners. You know, you look at him, he's very serene in the mid lane. He's in his Zen zone. I don't know if that really changes even if the action is hype anyway. So we'll see. But you're saying that BLG and you're swapping to Vici?
Yeah,
Just so we
go
have
for
that
it.
clear?
Mhm.
All right, we've got it clear. Casters, take it away.
Thank you so much, guys, and that we absolutely will, because now we're getting into the final game between BLG and Vici, the debut of the new jungler Minhua for BLG. I should be clear, the LPL debut. He has played with them before during the Demacia Cup, so this isn't just a new player suddenly hopping in on the stage in this Game 3.
And we mentioned this at the start, we'll say it again, this is the duo Mianhua and Athena, so hopefully the cotton doesn't get caught out too much. There's no miscommunications there, as he's going to be playing with Athena, both subbing in at the same time. It's not just the Vladimir that Athena excels at, like Raz mentions, it's also the Zoe that has to hit the bench now.
Yeah, that's going to be banned away immediately. The Singe still taken away from Amazing J. You do not want to see him on that champion if you are on the enemy team. And we've already seen some pretty wacky picks and bans. Looks like BLG are pretty committed to banning away Camille on the red side along with that Talia. In fact, they even banned away the Talia in Game 2.
Wow, and a
so
Lucian
huge
ban.
priority there. And yeah, the Lucian ban, exactly.
That one's curious because Aurelia was a very good pick for Fire Rain and is something that he now has available for himself. And the question is, does he pick that one or does he give it over as a potential pick for Athena? Even Amazing J or Jin Zhao to flex it if they wish. And they choose yes this time around, actually.
When they can pick between the two champions, they choose yes. Graves, who's got your darkness right here for Swift in the jungle. Very strong right now on the current patch because he can skirmish over those scuttle crabs.
Yeah, Graves has been banned in both last games. The last two games. Of course, I'm not even speaking English anymore. I've just lost myself. Graves is going to be picked this time around. Very strong jungler. Pretty much, I would say undisputed, the #1 jungler running around on Summoner's Rift at the moment. He's just too powerful. You cannot stop him from running rampant, especially with control of the Scuttle Crab. The only one that can test that actively is usually the Talia.
Which is banned away by BLG on the other side. So no risks out of BLG just yet. But Mianhua in his first game here with BLG on the LPL stage. He's going to have to communicate well with his team to close this one out.
And as a note, before we get any further into Vici's draft, Graves is one of those characters that unlocks the wackiness in a composition. Always available when you've got an AD carry there in the jungle role already secured. Your bottom lane can be bruises if you want. There's nothing stopping you.
Now, I should like to point out, with that Alistar lock-in, that is being taken away from Caveman, so they decide not to ban it away, what took the MVP in that game too. But that does mean that Aurelia, like you said, falls over to Vici on this second round of draft for them, and the Tom Kench locked in as well.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is a weird one, actually. Going towards TK as your third pick against the Kaiser Alistar is not too bad of an option, but you don't know what the composition really fleshes out to be yet. It's good at denying pick, it's really good at roaming from the bottom lane, but we don't know what the AD carry is that's going to be locked in with Cavemen on that Tom Kench. All we know is that into the Alistar, it's not that bad of a matchup.
Now the follow-up will be Xin Zhao for Mianhua for BLG
Also
in his
known
very
as
first game.
Win now,
Yes,
given the current
a
status.
very good choice, yeah. So a very powerful champion to try and duel out against Swift. We saw in Game 2 how aggressively Swift and Vici were tracking the jungle of BLG Chieftain. Nearly every move across the map was spotted out in advance, and I think that slowed him down on that Camille. Well, now you've got an entirely new player to keep track of. This element of surprise could get BLG back on leading the pace of the game and preventing Vici from dictating tempo.
Yeah, Minhua playing the Xin Zhao, very good at actually contesting around that Scuttle Crab, that place we mentioned before where junglers love to find themselves, and Graves not having many matches around that area. Well, Xin matches everybody with the damage output that he's got for himself. And what's interesting is past that point, the Lulu has been banned away from Vici, presumably away from Athena in the middle lane to try and prevent just a ridiculously powerful 2v2. Xin Lulu does not lose trades.
No, it absolutely does not. We're still looking for the pick for Athena in the mid lane. He is on red side, so we could see counter picks saved for either him or Amazing J coming into this matchup.
And with the Caitlyn and the Jhin gone as well, AD carry still a point that needs to be focused, whereas on the opposite side here for BLG, they've got the opportunity to flex pick if they would want to. The only one that you would be flexing is that Vladimir, however, and instead they choose to go towards the tank, prevent the composition of Vici from having the on, prevent Audi, actually, from having the on.
Yeah, you've seen what happens when Amazing J ends up falling behind, even just in a laning phase. Certainly he still tried to have an impact in those fights as the Poppy, but getting Audi ahead of Amazing J enabled the assassination onto Jin Zhao, who's taking the same exact champion. So it's a good, I think, a clear adaptation from BLG to say, hey, we're going to focus Amazing J early on, save that counter pick for Athena, and see how Vici's composition ends up shaking out, as Ezreal is now the pickup from Snow.
And I would say it's mostly unsurprising that the Ezreal get locked in. For Audi, I would actually still prefer something of the likes of the Mundo. Once again, it's risky into a Xin Zhao, but decent into the Kaiser. Of course, the lack of grievous wounds that can be built from her. This is always a possibility. Never discredit this.
And it's locked in. Mordekaiser, the final pickup for Vici, coming into this game 3 against BLG.
But where is it going? Aurelia to the top lane is my assumption in this case. And of course, the question past where is it going, which is the interesting thing, is will they do the same thing as what we saw earlier? Will FireRain, who was known as a Mordekaiser player, sacrifice his lane, play the jungle-heavy farm game with a Graves, and give everything to Swift? And he is a player with everything. Swift wins.
Absolutely. Very easy follow-up to set up for his team. It makes a lot of sense. Send the Aurelia into the top lane. Put that Tahm Kench on support. And with that, we've got our compositions locked in. FireRain, the Mord OTP, one-trick pony, before his joining professional play, is now going up against Athena on that Malzahar.
I have my concerns with the Malzahar pick for the levels 1 through 5. But I would imagine that once we hit the level 6 point, the ultimate is available for Athena. When you look at those skirmishes, when you look at the engaged potential from them, as well as the pick that is there as an availability for BLG, that is a strong composition to say the least. Minhua has to carry a lot of the early game burdens, however, on this Xin Zhao, and hope and pray that it is not going to be one of the world's largest Graves just running at him and trying to take him down.
Yeah, it's playing almost, this meta almost seems to be playing exactly into Swift. As you mentioned, he is a player who pops off if he's able to get an advantage. Well, now he's going to have a champion playing Puppy Dog, following behind him, helping him clear camps faster, sharing that mid experience. Certainly setting up quite a bit. Minhua, in his LPL debut with Athena, is going to show the other side of BLG, the side that they were trying to reach during the spring split before Chieftain and Mole joined. It's time to see if they were able to reach that level of power over the break, or if it's Chieftain and Mole who are showing up as the superior mid-jungle duo.
Always something to be looking towards. And even in the top lane now with Amazing J against Audi, we've shifted the bill a little bit more to carry verse tank instead of just the tank battle. And that is a place where a little bit of the tempo starts to belong to the Ornn, particularly super early into the game. Having the push, having the Bellows Breath, I believe it is as well, just constantly going towards the opponent. Too much AoE in all of his spells. And when we speak towards Scuttle Crab priority, what I'm curious to see is where Swift goes. If FireRain's going to support him, does Swift actually try and contest the top side of the map, where BLG should presumably have control of top and jungle? And can they actually unlock their mid laner to affect that?
We're certainly going to find out, because we've now loaded onto the Rift for the final game between Vici and BLG. The fans,
another poster boy for the team, right?
Yeah, still representing as loud as they can. The split has only just begun. And now, Vici, for the first time since 2016, have a game win over BLG. So they're already riding that momentum. They just need to close out the series and get themselves off to a good start.
And we have level 1 confirmation as well from items. You can also see from the Keystone Mastery rune of choice that
Guardian.
Fire Rain is playing around Swift. Swift is the MVP right now. He's going to start with a double lane leash with the bottom lane, giving him extra damage done, increasing his tempo in his clear, and then the Mordekaiser is going to be able to help him. And this is something that I would hope to see personally. I would love to see Fire Rain just give him the W and help them clear camps together after going mid. There's a lot of the wave in mid lane. I mean, Malzahar isn't actually a fast pusher. Yeah. That's the thing that you're looking at here.
Already we can see Fire Rain hovering just behind that minion wave to catch experience. Finally, he steps forward, and it looks like Swift is going to walk right into lane and get all 3 of those minions. Immediately just pops the spell shield. Targon's being utilized. They pushed the wave. Now they just need to push the next one to unlock that mid-jungle duo.
Great
Already,
pressure.
though, BLG have turned onto that bottom scuttle crab. They don't want to take any chances that they pass anything over to Vici Gaming.
And this is where you're actually looking at the questions that we were asking before. Where does Mianhua go? Where does Swift go? Well, the answer is clear mid lane, go straight to the enemy Raptor camp. But the Xin Zhao, obviously aware of where the Graves is going to go. He goes from vision, just goes over to his blue buff, but prioritizes the scuttle first, ensuring that there's no monopoly of the scuttle crab market going to one single team. So trying to keep himself as close as possible in experience and in farm. The risk here, and again, you'll see this, it's been successful, it's been unsuccessful watching these duos work, is can the Xin actually get something done? Can he track the Graves? Can they win the skirmishes? Because that was the real difference made when we saw this before, when it was a Camille and a Mordekaiser.
Yes. We'll absolutely have to keep an eye on Mianhua and his communication with the rest of BLG, especially Athena, who's got to constantly tag in and out. Okay, they're in the mid lane right now. All right, now they're moving into the jungle on that
Q
bottom
over
side.
that wall?
Increased auto attack range.
Yo. That's
You're going to go
amazing.
home and test that out, aren't you?
I've been playing Mordekaiser Pike with Frost Gurren, and I've been the Pike in most of these situations. So, yeah, look, there's a chance that maybe we swap roles.
Try out that Mace of Spades over the wall to just further clear out the wave as quick as possible. Look at that. Collective 40 CS between the two of them. Athena and Mianhua doing the same thing, but Mianhua is actually heading up top. Audi has to path his way around the pillar.
Oh, no
Gets
stun.
knocked up, and Mianhua looking to catch up the slow, and a flash gets Audi to safety.
Yeah, the stun not connecting from Audi, so forces the summoner spell to be used. Good little gank there from BLG's jungler. Mianhua gets himself into the top lane. Even better from Amazing J to find the situation with lane control, with the minion manipulation here as well, knowing Aurelia's pushing forward. So they get it off, they get themselves the recalls and the shops in for mana, in particular for the Ornn. Everything's able to subside.
Yeah, everything relaxes on that top half of the map. Still, we've got the duo pushing in that mid lane, keeping Athena locked down. He shouldn't have too tough of a time farming, but that means that bottom is just a standard laning phase. Kai'Sa Alistar versus Ezreal Tahm Kench.
And you mentioned the farm between mid-jungle duos. What's interesting about that is that the Mordekaiser is getting more farm in this particular setup. There's a nice little flash to disengage. Between the mid laners, however, Fire Rain getting more resources means that he may have more items. He'll have them sooner than the last Mordekaiser we saw. To me, that is a big advantage for them. Graves will still be strong. But if a Mordekaiser has 0 items and tries to be relevant, he's too locked around getting a Drake. A lot of the strength, again, that a Mordekaiser has is his W passive, gives him full experience on mid waves. Graves gets most of the farm, but he's getting solo experience, so he keeps up. And when he gets to 6, they can do the dragon. He can just take the dragon to the middle lane. They've got a super-powered jungler that'll be there with him, and not a lot can actually stop that pressure when it comes to the structures and the objectives they want to focus. But if he's weak when they look for the dragon, the other team can exploit that in its entirety.
And of course, the big component to looking for that dragon is making sure you've got control over the bottom lane, which is what we're seeing from Snow. Forcing out that first recall and even pushing up to the turret so that they can maintain vision over this area and get the earlier rotation should they look for it. But so far, it's just been Scuttle Crab control as Swift takes over to the first level 6 of the game.
Of course, I had this conversation with Juves from Oceania. You do need to be level 6 as the Mordekaiser to have the dragon passive.
The Children of the
Otherwise,
Grave.
Yeah, you'll never actually get the Drake as a a Spectre. So you don't go for the Dragon super early. You don't 4-minute cheese it. You just go for Scuttles. They're a higher priority. And then once you hit 6, the threat is real.
Now we do see teleport used by Athena to get back into the mid lane. He's at 46 CS, so he's holding on. Minhua actually in the top lane. Immediately the horn gets called out. Audi is the target. Remember, there's no flash, no stun, but that's a knock-up and an easy first blood with excellent crowd control juggling from BLG.
Yeah, really good from Amazing J. Knows that he has the aggro. Even saves his dash, gets himself out of the turret aggro after the kill is secure. And that's so much confidence in the damage out of his jungler that he knows he doesn't need to use that, knows he doesn't need an extra form of crowd control, and instead keeps it as a precautionary disengage. So really well done from BLG in that topside dive. No counterplay available from their opponents.
And at the very least, that's at least slowing down one carry threat from Vici Gaming.
Well,
There's still the Graves, Mordekaiser, Ezreal.
When you
But
look
hey, we
towards
take
farm,
those. Small wins are big wins. We take those.
It's always one of those battles, though, when you look towards the CS differential. A Graves walks at you with Berserker Greaves. 67 CS to 31. Level 7 to level 5 as well. Honestly, he is so far ahead. You're waiting for that. You know, what is it that gives Swift an opportunity to accelerate the game for the rest of his team? Because the basis of a lot of this is you get your jungler ahead, and you would assume that your jungler then goes into their jungle. Well, instead of fighting them, BLG have said, we're going to gank lanes. So now you look at Vici, ball's in their court, you're ahead. Can you make something happen with that?
Yeah, what are they going to do with it? So far, it's just maintaining that CS advantage. They're actually down 500 gold when the strategy is all said and done as they continue to move back and forth between that mid and the jungle, between mid and the river. Next Scuttle Crab is also going to be on that bottom side, and now Fire Rain is level 6, so that dragon could become a possibility.
You know, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people don't know what Mordekaiser does. And one thing that you will learn if you ever go to his wiki or you look up what he does, he has like 7 million passives on his W.
He has a lot of passives,
It's pretty ridiculous. They're things that you never often pay attention to. And the one that stands out to me that presumably not a lot of people actually know, so for those at home, if you don't, now you do. 75 move speed walking towards someone when he presses the W on you. So two champions have the W, and of course it's the little metal shards on the ground that you see there. That's move speed towards each other. That's so nice to have when you're a Graves. Actually running towards the Mordekaiser if he's in the front line, or disengaging if the Mordekaiser's behind him.
Oh, but they're looking for Swift. They found him. The knock up, the headbutt, the follow-up, and that's another kill. Caught roaming around, it's BLG who initiate and dive a double kill onto the Xin.
2 more kills to Xin Zhao, and suddenly what is that jungle difference really? That is a very big jungler for BLG. Minhua looking fantastic, working with Amazing J to find these kills, unlocking Amazing J, and suddenly assisting as I want to defend this.
Yeah, Caveman going to show up. Tom
The whole
Kench
bottom.
bringing his Wilson there. Yeah, getting the whole team. That means top is going to be pushed in the meanwhile by Audi. Doesn't have a lot of damage to chunk down that turret. And Amazing J is sitting on the teleport. Let's see if he uses it.
The real tragedy of what happened there is that the bottom lane also lost a wave in bottom. So whilst it was good they defended and they got the minions in mid lane, the only win they get from that is that the turret didn't go down. So they're buying more time without losing first brick on the map. And that's something that they clearly want to be prioritizing if they're going to commit a Tahm Kench ult and an Ezreal teleport towards that.
They're setting up for it, but need to actually convert in the meanwhile. Swift back into that mid lane. I don't think he saw that play coming as BLG just erupt out of the darkness on the map.
Yeah, speaking of darkness, 3 control wards bottom side river, 1 on the top side, so 4 control wards on the map for BLG in a neutral or advanced position based off the current game state, with an extra 6 in their inventory.
Yeah.
So they are controlling the wards right now. You look at the opponents, Vici, well, there's 1 on the map. There's a second one, I think, in the bottom lane brush, and then 1 in their inventory, 2 in their inventory. In comparison, they have no wards.
Yes.
And that means that if the game stays as it is without recalls coming out, then they start to slowly lose their vision control. They bleed out vision, and things like that Ocean Drake we just saw give over for free. And a Mordekaiser wants that Ocean Drake.
Yeah, absolutely. The Children of the Grave passive to push into turrets and try to start breaking the base of BLG, because right now at the 10-minute mark, it's BLG who are the ones who have responded to the clever strategy from Vici Gaming by finding those assassinations onto the mid-jungle duo. And Minhua, the new jungler for BLG in his debut game for the LPL, showing surprising calm and clear decision-making that sets up well for BLG to transition into this mid game.
I mean, the amusing thing about it is he's probably had more stressful games just in the Demacia Cup finals as a team. So BLG, whilst he is new to the LPL, he has seen play, and this shouldn't be one of the most nerve-wracking games for him. He comes in very cerebrally, plays the game towards top side, and clearly these teams have been practice working around the Mordekaiser compositions. A very good example of it with the way that they've played so far.
I always have to think, who is the first team in scrims to break it out? Like, okay, I know we have a serious practice session scheduled, so don't leave when we lock in a Mordekaiser. Like, was there warning before locking in the Mordekaiser, do you think?
Scrims have just been a dark place. You know, we haven't seen Pantheon yet. The Pantheon's a bottom laner, so I can't wait to see that one. You've got Urgot that may be a jungler now as well. He does a lot more damage. Like, these things exist and we haven't seen them yet.
Always got to wonder about those conversations. Still, though, we're here in 2018. We've got Mordekaiser. We've got Aurelia mid. It's just everything is going right.
We've got Aatrox top lane to top it off.
We've had 2 Aatrox.
Demacia Cup had Aatrox everywhere as well, man.
Yeah.
League of Legends is having a great experience.
It really is.
As long as you're enjoying the ride, embrace it. Don't detest it.
The standard LPL style strategy. I don't know what's happening, but I love it. With most of the metas.
Or actually just missed the talk.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Aatrox, we've got explosions. Mordekaiser with your shields. But always respect your teammates.
Upgrade his support item first. You expect a Rylai's even from... I noticed I completely ignored that, but I liked it.
That's what Rusty's approval sounds like, when he calmly moves on to the next thing.
Yeah, because if I don't like it, I will say I don't like it. There you go, learning today.
But yeah, again, the mid-jungle duo for Vici it seems like that pick has effectively stalled them out. Audi's actually looking for the kill here onto Amazing J. Here comes the rest of the squad, though. Athena's racing up along with Minhua just in case. Audi wants to keep going, but
he's in trouble.
He shows himself over the side. Audi's got the flash. He dashes back in, looking for the outplay. Can he escape from this one? 1 versus 3. The suppression says no. Stopwatch will stall it out. He's got the minion to jump to, but knocked up in mid-air. Great auto-attack buffer from Minhua.
Yeah, great cancel. Even a teleport towards the mid lane from Athena. Not the outer turret. That'd be risky. Goes towards the secondary turret, the inner turret, and does defend the damage going down onto that one sooner rather than later. So really nice once again from BLG. Walking up this time to teleport back to mid lane. They found their target. Audi, you might be wondering, why is he going towards such an aggressive move when he has no chance of getting a kill in the top lane? And you'd think it's just to keep Amazing J there. Amazing J's been roaming nicely with Minhua. They've been looking towards the graves, and it feels like that's him consciously saying, I will keep Amazing J here.
Yeah.
As long as you guys continue to win the 2v2, maybe spill it over somewhere else. But then everyone just keeps coming up to him. So there is nothing that Audi's really able to do.
And that means that in the meanwhile, Snow is able to push up in this bottom lane, even in CS, but a slight push advantage because you can see that Kai'Sa is suffering in low health. But the mid-jungle, like I mentioned a moment ago, has not fully been unlocked. Yes, they've been roaming around, but there's no spillover, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's not really impacting or pressuring the bottom lane whatsoever. This is the first moment that you see them going bottom without a Scuttle Crab to be looked towards. Amazing J tries to force them back to mid lane. It seems like by literally just showing himself. There was no wave. He walks in front of the turret. He's like, yo, hello. I'm coming. And then walks back top. And Vici like, oh crap, get back to top lane. They still get the turret, but
they do.
You can see the ideas. The cogs are ticking in BLG's brain.
Just taking that nice cerebral advantage to pull Vici apart and try to stall out their methods of getting back into the game, though that will, as you said, be the bottom tier 1 taken by Vici. Now that they've unlocked the Ezreal, let's see if they send him towards another lane perhaps, unlock it towards the top half, send Audi to the bottom tier 1 so that he's safe. Instead, they're actually going to continue to stay on this bottom side because Mountain Dragon is spawning shortly.
Yeah, one thing to note as well is it's super gated around item spikes here from Vici, so when do they make something happen?
Oh no, I've seen this play happen before. Again, they're stacked up, but Athena can't get close enough.
Pushing them away.
To drop down that Nether Grasp. And that's Vici losing now the mid-tier 1.
Yeah, it's just all about getting the turret there from BLG. The chance of a gank was always going to be nice. The chance of a dive possible. Vici very aware of it. They'll back themselves up, and they'll be able to defend decently by not dying, but they still have to lose that turret. To come back to the point as well, the reason I think this is so important is if they have a Trinity Force spike for the Ezreal, if they have a Trinity Force spike for the Aurelia, the Black Cleaver perhaps for the Graves, at those moments when they get those spikes, they should be super strong, because otherwise they've got to support Mordekaiser in the mid lane. They've got to support Tahm Kench, who doesn't deal damage, so to speak, as well. Enough for a support, but not comparable. You need to actually hit points of power to make plays happen. And I think item spikes is a great thing to look towards with that.
Still going to look towards perhaps fighting over this Mountain Dragon, as 5 members of Vici are grouped up. That's spotted out, and BLG are collected as well and ready to fight it. Remember, there's no call of the Forge God, so it's going to be up to Minhwa perhaps to engage a Road for the Flash Pulve Head Slam.
Yeah, Road's definitely someone to look towards. Can he do it at the correct timing? Athena also has the Flash ultimate there on the Malzahar, so another engage potentially available for them.
Dragon starting to reset. Swift is in the pit, drops the smoke screen. Minhwa goes in and doesn't get the smite. That's going to be picked up by Vici as the fight breaks out. AJ in the front, going through the wall, gets denied the ability to attack, but now it's BLG just running as fast as they can. And Audi chasing down these kills. He gets one, but Minhwa will trade it over. 1 for 2 when it's said and done. Minhwa exhausted. Swift trying to follow up, but Road with the save might give up his life, but has the flash. Smokescreen will slow them down. They're still under the turret. Fire Rain leads the charge with that Dragon. Road is low.
Oh, get him,
Swift
Dragon.
still wants it. Even Fire Rain taking up even more. Finally, the Dragon gets denied and won't be able to chase down that final kill. But BLG, that was a risky fight, and it was real close.
Yeah, and as the fight subsides, it was still a victory for Vici. They got the Dragon. They got the extra kill. They are able to set themselves up decently well. Teleports, however, look how fast Vici run, though, towards each other.
Call of the Forge God. Flash and the miss from Amazing J. Vici are able to escape.
Super creative, actually, from Fire Rain. Most people flash the second part of the Call of the Forge God, but he moves so quickly that he flashes out of the first part and uses that move speed to get to safety. So a little bit abstract, and caught Amazing J by surprise. He didn't know where he would be. Just missed the mark there. The dive was potentially available from BLG if that had connected. That was their attempt at consolidating, perhaps finding a bigger advantage. The end result, still Vici getting the win.
Yeah, and Vici not out of this game just yet, despite the pressure that they suffered in that mid-jungle duo. Losing both the mid and top tier 1 turrets, they're able to come back in the team fight very successfully. Audi showing that Triforce damage spike is not something to be messed with.
Yeah, absolutely, and speaking of, just completed by Snow himself with the Muramana. Now available. Swift, when he chooses to recall, whenever that is, has got 210 CS at 18 minutes, and they just want to fight, so he's very due to go back to base. But no doubt he'll have more than just a Black Cleaver now, so we'll get to see what that eventually becomes.
Meanwhile, pings onto the Rift Herald. There is a ward from Vici that'll spot this out, and they do still see Swift on the other side of the map. But Snow and Caveman are here. They could look to contest this if Minhwa and the rest of the squad decide to start it out, but still, BLG turned towards it. They're set to finish it off. Abyssal Voyage is ready for Caveman.
Just free to take,
but
so
yeah,
they'll get themselves the Rift Herald, even though the ward was there and they spotted it early. They know full well.
Blue buff. Jin Zhao actually stole the blue buff away.
Was that a W?
It looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
And now BLG,
fancy.
They're pushing as 5 onto this tier 2. Vici a bit slow to respond. Audi with the teleport. There's a ward back in the lane that he can try to collapse towards, but Snow's chunked down to half.
Audi's actually just walking up the river. No teleport to be seen. Maybe just pressure. Clearing wards on his way up. You can see the presence that he has actually starts to push BLG back as well. And you saw a single Q connect from Snow. That Q is enough damage that it makes BLG think twice about actually pressing forwards there. Especially given how strong Vici are in their current state. Pushing forwards, it's about defending the structure right now. If they can get a defense off, if that defense results in a kill, then they press hard forwards. Baron now an objective.
Very well could be for Vici with the Mountain Dragon they have, the massive shred. Like you said, the Black Cleaver finished off for Swift, and now he's building another dagger on top of it. You already mentioned the power spike for that Ezreal. And look at the wards from Vici on that side of the map. Their early game might not have been sufficient for them, but holy cow, have they fixed that problem.
Yeah, they found their vision, they found their mid-game, and they are looking to spike hard when it comes to that vision control. Working around, firstly, Fire Rain and Caveman having completed support items, so 4 wards apiece. going to be a lot of vision available to them, especially now. They went
Three
bottom.
members bottom. They're actually looking for Amazing J, and they find him. The Abyssal Voyage to catch up, and they were on top of a ward. Amazing J with no summoners will die, but immediately the Rift Herald is used mid. Snow is still there, uses the True Shot Barrage for some chip damage. It's going to get a full charge. Might be able to break it down. Oh, that was close. BLG get the tier 2, but they do trade their top laner for it.
Yeah, so trading the top laner's life should actually give control of the Baron era, you would assume, to the side of Vici, but because of what happened in mid lane, the trade being there, forcing Vici back to defend, they don't get any vision control at all. In fact, it's completely reversed, and it is outright there and available for the side of BLG. Bilibili Gaming now pressing forwards, looking for picks.
Oh, Flash, Nether Grasp. Jin Zhao follows up. Swift did not stand a chance. And if the Baron wasn't a possibility before, it absolutely is now.
Of course, that was a Flash ultimate used by Athena. Jin Zhao used the ultimate of his own, and a Flash not available for Road. So whilst they get control of the area, they already had the vision available. Doing this is still risky. There is still a chance that it goes awry and they lose themselves a fight, but they should be healthy whilst they're doing it.
Take a look at where Road is on the minimap, though. It seems as though BLG expect the flank from the rest of Vici. Finally, he's going to step forward and start body blocking. Audi steps up but is knocked away. Fire Rain rushing forward. Swift is still dead, but Baron has been taken. Call of the Forge God is only going to hit Caveman. Audi might still be looking for the fight, but he does get tagged by that Void Seeker as Fire Rain will chase them off.
And that's it. Baron cleanly get out and recall for the side of BLG. Very well done for themselves. Set up to succeed now with this Baron buff. And we've spoken and we've seen how impactful Barons have become right now and how quickly they can end games. How snowbally everything seems to be. It all started with catching Swift out of position. And this isn't just a single game thing. It's the first time we've seen it really from Swift. Caveman is usually the #1 culprit for it.
Yeah.
But Vici in the mid game, always caught out of position by BLG, it seems.
Suffering these picks is costing them quite a bit. BLG able to find the openings, but Ocean Dragon has spawned, still Baron buff for 245, and the waves are being prepped. It looks like they might be trying to bait a fight here.
This is a really good opportunity for Vici. Whilst it may not be ideal to fight currently, if they get a fight, even if the fight result is just a trade, then they could perhaps stem the Baron from actually being consequential at all. That is an expected dragon to give over. It's what happens in the next 30 seconds.
Double Ocean now for BLG, a third to spawn soon, but like you said, that Baron is delayed by about a full minute of that time span not being used to push a turret, though Amazing J did prep a minion wave bottom and set to finish this one off.
And we just don't see any Banner of Commands anymore. It has been buffed, then nerfed, then buffed, then nerfed again, and now it's just pretty bad actually. As an item, of course, soon to be removed even.
Yeah.
Banner of Command not having a great experience. And you're not going to see many more of them, it seems. Particularly with these junglers that we have, with all of the eggs put in the Swift basket, with Mianhua being a Xin Zhao, wanting that Trinity Force.
Getting close to it. And yeah, that's the buy. Finally going to complete it along with the bottom tier 1 taken. So early on, it looks like this first Baron take from BLG is just going to open up the map for them, not quite create the insurmountable advantage that we expect from later on. So Vici still have got plenty of opportunities to get back into this game.
We've got that pretty standard front to back from BLG though, so when it starts to snowball, it's just really hard to break through. With Amazing J standing in the front line, with Mianhua not being a tank, but also being able to just deny so much damage with his ultimate, does kind of effectively work as a frontline member of the team. And now that they're all ahead, it's just so hard to defend, so hard to stop them from pressing forwards, from pressing the attack. And for Vici to actually come back into this game, they need to find that team fight. That's really difficult.
It's going to take some exceptional outplays, maybe a big pick or a mistake from BLG to try to pop this one open, as BLG now using the remainder of that Baron buff to siege onto a tier 2. Like you said, still no Banner of Command. That up and down patch history, Hex Flash over the wall, but Road just zones it away. Headbutt knocks Fire Rain back. That means Road is taking aggro along with the rest of the team, trying to get in. A few targets unable to attack as they are locked out. Meanwhile, they turn forward and they manage to find the kill onto Audi. That's a huge damage source missing. Snow leaps away, but Fire Rain will die. Swift retreating as best he can, but Vici are falling apart. They did not expect BLG to just push and pull and go right back in. Jin Zhao doesn't tag the W and won't be able to follow up for the kill, but the tier 2 has been broken, and this might be the insurmountable advantage for BLG.
Yeah, Jin Zhao was looking for the full ace there if he was able to connect that W, not to be found, but with 4 dead, the inhibitor to go down, will they continue to push forwards? There's no more Baron buff available. It'd be super risky if they continued.
Still only pushing up with a single minion wave. BLG, they've got a side wave pushing that top tier 2. I have to admit, their side lane control has been exceptional throughout this entire series.
Yeah, there's only really been one moment here or there where the side lane control wasn't completely in their favor, and you can see the top lane turret's health from BLG. That was a result of that. It's still alive in the end, so doesn't matter too much. They've set themselves up nicely here, BLG, controlling side lanes, playing front to back, and getting early game leads.
And from this, BLG now have got a lot of momentum going into this game 3. 8,000 gold ahead. Taking a look at the replay, Road still holding aggro, but Audi just steps one little bit too far forward. Malzahar just walks up with the Nether Grasp while the team backs away.
And it's all about the follow-up afterwards, right? Amazing J with the Ornn. Road's already engaged. No one's going to take damage from BLG. Jin Zhao even gets a chance to stop and look towards turrets if he wanted to afterwards, and he's super unlucky that that W didn't connect in the end. And we should take a second to talk about Vici for their team composition.
Yeah.
This is something that you will see, you know, Mordekaiser, it's being experimented with. It works with the Graves. It's a great concept, but then you can't put the Aurelia top lane. You cannot have a Tahm Kench and Ezreal as your bottom lane duo. And the reason that I think this is important to point out is, what is that engage tool? You know, like, what do they actually have that lets them go forwards? The answer is a Tahm Kench flank, maybe. But the actual answer so far has just been Aurelia's ultimate and stun.
Yeah.
It's ranged, but it is not a hard engage like an Alistar or a Malzahar or an Ornn works. It's not something that can actually win in the front to back, but they're playing it front to back. So either you change your play style or you change your draft. And from watching Vici for a long time now, you change your draft.
Asking Vici to play a different play style. A little bit of a stretch. Audi once again leaps forward, but this time is not punished by the Nether Grasp. Still, they're just sieging onto this inhibitor turret while there are still super minions pushing in the bottom lane. So trying to push back. True Shot Barrage will start to cull the wave a little bit before it crashes and make it slightly easier for Vici to defend, but it's just a time game for BLG. Baron's up in 60 seconds, and they already control both top, mid, and bottom.
Here they go. The horn has been sounded as well, zoning away.
Knock up on 3. That's the banner onto a minion to charge forward. AJ forced to pull back as Audi clears out the minion wave. Still, it's just a time game. Super minions are now in the base of Vici.
Vici's able to actually handle that one decently well, but there's no minion wave. BLG say no problems that actually continue to push forwards.
Yeah, the moment they see Snow on that minion wave, that's the go button from BLG. Now that that damage is missing, double supers are pushing in. They even see Audi there. That means that Vici have got to concede the inhibitor here.
Snow just tried to tank the super minions and almost died in the process, so he actually wouldn't be able to contribute and had to recall, which means that ultimately BLG were going to go for that turret either way, but it means that Vici had no opportunity to even turn around and perhaps look for a fight.
Now recalls were attempted by BLG, but I think they were in vision of that minion wave, and those will be canceled. The only person who gets a recall will be Mianhua.
The risk there is that they're recalling with Baron already alive, so Vici may be able to position themselves nicely, and whilst they don't have engage, if BLG come towards them, they still have the damage output.
That's a lot of teleports. That's more than one. Amazing J going to follow up with Athena, and Jin Zhao to follow right behind. Chases forward and going to find the kill onto Fire Rain, but Caveman saves Swift. Still, though, that's the mid laner for Vici missing, and 2 inhibs down.
Even the kitchen sink teleported in there, I think. That was a lot of teleports. 3 people come in easy as you'd like. They find themselves the Mordekaiser.
Which nozzle on the sink is that? Hot, cold teleport?
Oh, that was pretty hot.
Oh, yeah.
As we get Mordekaiser dead, though, Baron will be secured for them, you'd have to expect. No miracle is even conceivable, honestly, from the side of Vici.
Instead, they're just defending Snow with the True Shot Barrage! 3,000 health.
It's exciting because you don't see the health of the Baron.
Yeah, to guess for that. But now the second Baron picked up by BLG. It's just a slow and steady, inexorable walk towards Vici's Nexus. And after those initial picks onto Swift and Fire Rain, the mid-jungle getting denied, it seems as though Vici just don't have an answer.
Yeah, with 2 inhibs already gone, with a Banner of Command now available for Road, and the Baron buff to empower that one, nothing's going to stop them from getting this mid lane turret. Rain Halo Shine, they are pushing that mid lane, they're getting that inhib, and it's about what they do after this. Because honestly, you use the Baron buff, you push all 3 lanes at once, get those supers going, and end the game organically through the minion control. Vici just want to try and poke them out, perhaps prevent them from doing it before they can.
Yeah, that's what it seems like we're seeing now. BLG, that's the banner. Call of the Forge God is set up. True Shot Barrage. Are they going to look for the dive? Audi sets up the stun and lands it onto Road, but they're just finishing off the respawn inhib. There's another Nethergrass. Fire Rain is saved, but Road is still tracking him down. Makes his way back to the fountain, but the Nexus turret
still
has
losing the
fallen.
game.
Minhwa dives forward, looking for the kill, but Swift onto the fountain survives again. But like you said, they are losing the game. It's just not enough. Fire Rain steps up, and actually they're defending the Nexus. Vici are trying to finish off the health, but Amazing J and Minhwa will finish it off. And that's BLG taking their first series of the LPL Summer Split.
And for a second there, you're watching the Mordekaiser gets the clone. You're feeling that fleeting hope, perhaps, just still ever present for them. But Vici, they don't get it. They still lose the Nexus in the end. And Amazing J, BLG, the whole roster, particularly Minhwa, coming in and looking very good on that Xin Zhao. You're seeing positive things here from BLG. There was moments where Vici looked like perhaps they could match him. But too strong as a team is the end result here.
Very big growth from BLG, showing why they got so far in the Demacia Cup and that they are taking this summer split seriously. And I think just as exciting, we saw a whole new side of Vici, bringing in all of these new players for the new 5 stack and showing they've got multiple play styles, looking for picks, looking for the jungle duo, looking for the aggressive game 2 that we saw out of them. This could be the course correction we've been asking for Vici for so long.
I mean, this is the moment to celebrate for BLG, the anime team, with some anime music going on in the background. But for Vici, they shouldn't be going home with their heads held low at all. They should be held high. They have positives to take away from this. The individual performances from the players is what you would actually take away from this. I think Audi looked decent. Fire Rain looked decent as well. Swift's still not bad by any means. And the bottom lane, Snow had some good games, particularly in that victory. If they can just be cohesive as a team, then you are seeing the makings of a potentially good team.
Yeah, it seems as though the biggest problems that we saw over the course of this final game 3 was keeping their calm under the pressure of the siege from BLG. Perhaps it just takes a little bit more veteranship from Vici, a little bit more time with this 5-man roster to fully coalesce.
Oh yeah, time will help a lot. I do think that draft is something they could be exploring as well. And the biggest thing for me is always going to be the mid-game. For Vici, the amount of times that you've seen an individual get caught out of position in mid-game, whether it's through a lack of vision or just mispositioning, you know, making the wrong decision, it has affected them. It has cost them the game in instances. Even in game 2 when they were winning, BLG caught them out a bunch of times. So a lot of potential there from the roster yet to be realized. But for the side of BLG, Minhwa and Athena looked a lot better. So unfortunate, Raz, on that flip-flop. Just unfortunate.
Didn't quite work out for you this time. But I think that has to be said, though. Athena, the sleepy mid laner of the LPL, was not asleep this game. He was flashing forward on the Malzahar. He was communicating with Amazing J and Minhwa to dive the tier 1 and deny the mid jungle of Swift and Fire Rain. And it seems as though the times when we see him awake, when we see him alive, is when he's his most deadly, and that he's showing in game 1. That he's popping up, that he's awake.
I mean, absolutely, right? Athena was more of the knockout punch for me, though.
Yeah.
I do think that, you know, Minhwa and Amazing J butted it up in the top lane. They'd set up the turret like a good cooking show. It was prepared earlier, and he just came in and he pulled it out of the oven. He's like, check out this amazing meal, and he just Malzahar ulted someone that was already weak.
First blood for you. Yeah.
No, Amazing J was a big part of it with Minhwa, and I actually think that communication-wise, you know, Amazing J is a shot caller for the team.
Yeah.
You can actually see evidence of the jungler coming to his lane and making that work really well.
And what happens when Amazing J is actually able to get a few kills? I don't know, though. It's now up to our analysts to break down what BLG did right in that series.
Thank you so much, Dom. And I do want to follow up on what Rusty was talking about there. So, Raz, how are you feeling about that flip-flop?
I do not recall.
Oh!
I know what you're talking about.
We got footage, man. This is going on YouTube.
There's a certain social graphic out there of me making the proper decision with BLG taking the victory.
I'll see you on Friday when we get the footage. But Clement, talking about this one, you had full faith in BLG. You had their back until the end, and I actually think we saw some real good stuff from Minhwa by the end of the game as well. So how are you feeling about the performance?
I'm pretty happy with it. First of all, Mianhua, he was actually really aggressive in terms of his ganking. That was the one thing that we were kind of afraid of. Like SKS, their previous jungler, was much more of a laid-back kind of control type. And BLG always needed something to pull them through the early game. Remember, this is not a strong laning team phase, laning team. So they do need that jungle to be aggressive to stand up to other parts of the map, and that's what Mianhua provided here.
Also, grouping from the team. Ultimately, the grouping from specifically Road, I would say, coming in hot towards the mid lane, really helped that all out, because if it was just 2v2, if it was literally just Graves, Malzahar, Mordekaiser, they would have been able to just continuously get an experience advantage over the Xin Zhao. But that wasn't the case, in fact. A lot of it came down to the fact that there was better skirmishing from Alistar, Malzahar, Xin Zhao. If they got for the skirmish, if we were looking for the fight, it was going in favor of them. So a lot of kills went into the Xin Zhao to catch him back up.
And to touch on this, the ban pick phase, actually me and Pulse were talking about this, but we really didn't like the Aurelia pick. I was actually calling for a tank pick to kind of round out the composition, because essentially what they're running is 2 sets of marksmen and 2 sets of supports, and nothing to stand in front. And that gave BLG a very comfortable situation where all they had to do was push forward as an entire unit, and that's what they're so good at.
We had a discussion about this when the Tahm Kench came out really early on, along with the Aurelia, because Tahm Kench as a champion, if you pick it up early, especially in this meta, it's calling out the fact that you're probably going to have a squishier top lane, a bruiser rather than a tank, because if you're having Graves, Aurelia, then the question is, if it goes Aurelia mid lane, yeah, you can pick for a tank top lane. But no, the composition rounded itself out, where Tahm Kench was really the only champion that could walk forward in a lot of these fights, but the game was decided before Tahm Kench really got to leave his lane. That's the major worry for me, was a lot of the mid-game skirmishes decided that BLG suddenly were not in a massive deficit. Like the 30 CS advantage that Graves had for himself because he was just constantly taking mid lane farm and experience, the 2-level advantage that he had for himself dissipated off of the fact that BLG grouped earlier. BLG went and basically met them before they even got to the second Scuttle Crab topside. So, I mean, it feels bad for Vici Gaming that the strategy they had going into this just crumbled versus the teamwork of BLG.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're talking about like this matchup in the mid lane and the jungle, because this isn't the first time we've seen this today, and I feel like it's not going to be the last time that we see it in the first week of LPL as well. So, moving forwards, do you think that there is a optimal setup for the mid lane and jungle? I know, Clement, we were talking backstage about this. Feels like maybe you should have a melee jungler like the Shyvana felt good. The fact that you can actually put Harvester of Sorrow on the 2 targets and give away 4 Mordekais to get in.
Yeah, we were definitely talking about that. The Mordekais we've seen twice today, both of them were losses, but this is not something that is going to go away. We really are going to see junglers having a higher priority on the carry role. And for this setup, the Olaf is something that we're really interested in seeing, because you can clear fast, you can run at people, and also the Harvester of Souls on you will bring the Mordekaiser to your target as well.
Yeah, I think we'll see more Mordekaiser. And ultimately, I think counter picks matter in this meta, where we already saw in set 1 that the counter pick mid lane of the LeBlanc pick was really strong versus Zoe. So ultimately, there is no optimal route, but I would love to see more Mordekaiser.
Yeah. As would I, Raz, as would I. And either way, we are going to take a short break, but when we get back, we'll be coming in with an interview. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a minute.
When I get old, I remember this day when we scrolled and just felt okay with nothing that been done. No, nothing's really done today. Oh yeah, feeling breezy and easy. It's a beautiful day. And I'm gonna be just fine. Yeah. It's a beautiful day, and I'm gonna be just fine. When I get old and a million worries unfold, I will take this walk and do absolutely nothing, breathing in a loving life. we're together, baby, then the sun shines bright. Oh yeah, feeling breezy and easy. It's a beautiful day. And I'm gonna be just fine.
Hello everyone, and with me is Jin Zhao right here, a rare marksman in the 8.11 meta we have. So the first question I have for you, Jin Zhao, is I want to ask more about the AP Kaisa that we've been seeing running rampant since Demacia Cup right now. Why is it so good, and what do you feel about the pick personally? 第一个我想要问你的问题是，就现在 AP 卡莎其实越来越多，在这个德杯当中，我们也看到 A 可能有先拿出来使用。那你自己可以跟我们分析一下，说为什么这样的一个出装现在这么的强势？那你对 AP 卡莎有什么样的看法
？AP 卡莎其实我觉得是上个版本会比较好用一点，这版本的话其实感觉还是一般般，因为凯莎的话，它出 AD 的话就是要出羊刀跟那个飓风嘛，因为出这两个装备的时候就比较弱，但是出羊刀加那个纳什之牙的时候，中期就可能就会比出羊刀厉害一些，然后后期也会很猛，就是有被动的加成嘛，打坦克也会很不错。
所以可能就是2件套的时候，因为这个瑞兰飓风现在比较贵了嘛，所以可能这个2件套没有这个 AP 来的强，大概是这个意思嘛？
对对对。
Okay, so Jin Zhao's answer is that he actually feels like AP Kaisa was stronger on the previous patch in 8.10. Of course, there has been a couple of Kaisa nerfs coming through, and Jin Zhao believes that AP Kaisa is played more because the 2-item spike is stronger compared to the AD version where you go Guinsoo's and Hurricane. Of course, we know that Hurricane has been more expensive in terms of its pricing, and because of the you want to play around the 2nd item spike, AP Kaisa is the way to go now. So my second question for you is obviously today we've been seeing a lot more diversity in terms of the bot lane role. Do you feel pressure to go out and practice these bruisers? What does your coach tell you, and what do you feel about the marksman role going forward? 第二个问题，我想问说，我们今天其实也看到很多走这个AD 位置的选手，其实也不再选射手了这样子。那我比较好奇，像你自己对这个下路线这个原本的 AD 位置之后的发展有什么样的一个看法？那你自己会不会有这个压力要去学一些可能比较类似斗士的角色？
现在 rank 的话，我有在玩很多，就是这种亚索，然后也有玩4-8打 AD 这种，就也有赢游戏吧。但是感觉这样赢游戏没有以前就玩射手的那种，没有那种开心吧。就后面的话，我的队友也跟我说，就是说感觉比赛的话，还是就是射手会比较好很多，因为到后期的话，还是射手会好一点。
Okay. So Jin Zhao's answer is in solo queue, I actually play a lot of things like the Yasuo or even the Pantheon. But for me, playing the marksman in late game still feels a lot better, and my team also does tell me that in the late game, if you're a marksman, you will do more for the team, and that's why I still feel pretty good about playing the champions I have now. So my last question for you is, obviously you guys have moved conferences. You are now in the Eastern Conference, which is typically seen as the much tougher conference. What are your expectations this split for yourself and your team? 最后一个想问你问题是，其实本季的话，你们从原本的西区被移到了东区，那一般大家都认为东区其实是一个比较厮杀比较激烈的一个区域。那你对你自己跟你的团队来讲的话，这一季有什么样的一些预期？
就现在这边打的话，还是就希望我们能进季后赛吧，就是能希望有更好的成绩。
So I just hope that we can make it to playoffs and have a better record overall. Thank you very much, Jin Zhao. And guys, don't go away. We still have important news coming from the analyst desk.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, Clement, for that interview. And it's also really nice to hear from Jin Zhao as a guy we don't really get to speak to very much, and especially for the Western audience. But I definitely agree with him. It's definitely difficult as an AD carry now. It's like, well, you have to play Mordekaiser and Yasuo, and you got Urgot in there too. I mean, I hope you've been practicing it, right? So it's definitely going to be very difficult for marksmen if this meta keeps up.
Yeah, and it's always about explaining it to your team, right? You already mentioned it. The team is like, it's much better to just have AD carries later on if you want to play towards team fighting. So it makes sense for BLG, a team that's known for their team fighting later on in the game, to just be like, all right, you know what? Let's not have the early game nonsense that the bruises in the bottom lane relies on.
For sure. I mean, it's going to impact some teams more than others, right? And I think that's what we'll get to see when we see the rest of the teams play in the next couple of days and weeks of the LPL. And talking about the days and weeks of the LPL, let's go ahead and take a look at the broadcast schedule if you missed it at the start of the day. Today is Monday, so of course we're live, but on Tuesday and Wednesday, it means that you won't be able to catch the action on the English broadcast, but we will be live on the Mandarin broadcast on Douyu and Panda. So make sure to tune in for that. We will be live on Tuesday and Wednesday. And on Thursday, it's going to be the universal day off for the LPL, so no League of Legends action. Go elsewhere, find a different league to
Find
watch.
a beach.
But then after that, it's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll be live once again. And then it all starts over on Monday, where we'll start a brand new week. And that'll be week 2 next time around. So we take a look at Tuesday's schedule. We're just talking about where you can catch the action. You can actually, as I was just saying, catch that one on Douyu and Panda. So check that one out, and you'll be able to see all the VODs live on those platforms.
Excellent, excellent. So that's going to be fun for me. I really want to see what we get to see out of this week. Remember, this week we get to see, and I know looking at tomorrow's match is going to be OMG, Snake, and then TOP versus Rogue Warriors. But I want to see Xi'an and Beijing. I want to see a new team, or at least the new venues coming in
new
through.
stadiums.
Yeah, unfortunate. That is not going to happen tomorrow.
No, but it will happen soon. It will happen later on in this week, Mr. Raz, so you'll get your chance to see that one. And it also means that the league is still expanding. You know, we've got like, what, 6 stadiums now, and it'll be even more next split, and even more that split after, up until 2020. So you'll get to see probably every city under the sun in China eventually get a stadium, so be ready for that one. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our Friday schedule, though. That will be the next broadcast for the English LPL casting team. We'll be kicking off that day with Suning Gaming and Vici Gaming, and we'll be rounding it out with Fun Plus Phoenix and Snake Sports.
I really want to see the Fun Plus Phoenix versus Snake. Now, if you saw our prediction graphic...
Yeah, I was going to say, who did you predict on that one, Raz?
Now, I predicted Snake. Now, it's a safe prediction to make just because of Snake's performance last split. But Fun Plus has that extra member of Sinyi, has that shake-up in their supportive staff. So there's a lot has changed behind the scene. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to push them a little bit further ahead.
Make sure you check out those predictions. That will be on LPL English on Twitter. Now, on the first page, you've got the Colorcasters, and then on the second page, you've got the Monkeys. It's going to be all the play-by-plays, including myself, and an 8-ball. So we'll see who is going to be most successful at the end of the split. I probably think it's going to be the 8-ball.
Yeah, possible.
Honestly, consider it's the LPL, but we'll see. Either way, thank you so much for watching. We're going to be back on Friday, so make sure to tune in then. For that, though, on behalf of myself, Raz, and the whole English broadcast team, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you then.